The 3 most shocking proofs about the resurrection of Jesus Christ, published on forrosadelavirgin.org. It reads as follows. Objective evidence that can be verified even without faith. Christians are not condemned by God to believe in the resurrection of Jesus Christ and in his permanent presence among us by faith alone. Faith is granted by God, and whoever has it does not need proof. But our God never sets reason aside. And he has also left us objective proof that the resurrection of Jesus and his permanent presence among us is real. Proof which has converted many believers, including scientists who have analysed Eucharistic miracles or the Shroud of Turin. Here we will talk about the evidence that God has left in the world about the resurrection of Jesus and about his permanent presence among us, so that unbelievers can assess this knowledge using reason and use it to evangelize non-Christians. The Christian faith is founded on the resurrection of Jesus Christ, a character who walked the earth 20 centuries ago, who said he was God, performed miracles, healed the sick and expelled demons, and especially was resurrected 3 days after his death. Can this statement be proven? Because if the resurrection of Jesus Christ cannot be proven, the Bible becomes simply a collection of moral maxims from a prophet, a notion generally maintained by modernists within Christianity, and therefore we cannot be bound by them. But if we can be certain that Jesus was resurrected and stayed among us as he promised, then the mandates he left us are binding, because they come from God, who has eternal wisdom. Some will say, well, objective evidence is not necessary. This is known by faith. Certainty is given by the faith that God gives us, and that is enough. But the true God does not ask us to abdicate reason to have faith in him. On the contrary, our reason, that is the objective evidence we have, also leads us to him. This is one of the differences between the God that was revealed in the Bible and the imperfect notions of God that other religions have had, for example Islam. And it's for this reason that we can find objective proof that Jesus Christ was resurrected and is among us, because he himself has left it to us, so that we can also recognize it by reason. A series of these tests are the testimonies of the contemporaries of Jesus. Firstly, the testimonies of the followers of Jesus that the Bible relates. Secondly, the testimonies of other texts of the time that are not part of the books of the Bible. And then testimonies of historians. They tell us that there was undoubtedly a historical character named Jesus of Nazareth, whose miracles and teachings were compiled. We are told that he was crucified and died beyond any doubt, because a spear pierced his heart. He was buried, and on the 3rd day the tomb appeared empty, and this character began to appear to his followers for 40 days, until they saw him rise to heaven and disappear. But he said that he would be with us until the end of the world, and every Christian has felt that they communicate with him, and that he has responded to their requests, and has even physically appeared on occasion to various seers. But if our faith does not abdicate reason as a method, then there should be objective proof, so that those who do not have faith could see that Jesus Christ has risen and is among us. Is there objective proof? Of course. We have 4 main objective proofs of his resurrection and that he is among us, all of them reinforcing each other and the testimonies of the Bible. First of all, we have the Shroud of Turin, which is a canvas of 442 centimetres by 113 centimetres and is kept in the Royal Chapel of the Cathedral of San Juan Bautista in the city of Turin. This linen cloth wrapped the body of a man who was flogged, crucified with nails, crowned with thorns on his head, wounded by a spear in his side, and died. It is mentioned in the Bible that upon his death, Jesus Christ was wrapped in a sheet. His wrapped image was imprinted on the fabric through blood and serum stains, which cannot be reproduced by current technological means. Science has shown that the image printed on the sheet is not from a drawing, but an impression achieved on the fabric by a fabulously large energy, impossible to replicate today with our technical means. And the blood is from a type AB positive male with very old DNA. In addition, the material, the workmanship of the cloth and the pollen particles that are in it point to the Middle East and the 1st century. The face shown on the shroud is comparable with the first faces of Jesus drawn at the beginning of Christianity, and his physical build is that of a person who had a lifestyle compatible with Jesus, who was a carpenter. At the same time, there is another textile test that gives greater credibility to the Holy Shroud. We are referring to the Holy Shroud of Oviedo. This is the cloth that would have wrapped the head of a deceased man, which measures 83 centimetres by 52 centimetres. It reflects the face of the same deceased man as the shroud. The pollen found on it and the material and tissue are consistent with the shroud, as is the blood type and DNA. And it's mentioned in the Bible that after the descent from the cross, Jesus' face was covered with a cloth, as was the custom among the Jews, and that it was removed by wrapping him in the sheet. So far we have objective evidence that there was a man who was cruelly scourged and crucified in the 1st century in the Middle East, with AB positive blood, upon which enormous energy was exerted while lying in the tomb, which left its imprint on the shroud before the body of the deceased disappeared. And all this coincides with what the Bible tells about the passion and resurrection of Jesus and his ascent from heaven. But didn't he say he would stay with us until the end of the world? Do we have proof of this? Yes, we do. Hundreds of Eucharistic miracles have been recorded in the history of the Church. In other words, manifestations in the host and consecrated wines that there is a hidden, veiled presence within them. The Catholic Church maintains that a priest duly ordained by apostolic succession causes Jesus Christ to be present, veiled under the species of the host and wine, when the celebrant says, "This is my body, and this is my blood," at Holy Mass during the Eucharistic prayer. Because this was taught by Jesus at the Last Supper on Holy Thursday, and he called on the apostles to always do this in his memory. Transubstantiation is not seen with the physical eyes. The species of bread and wine do not change with the eyes, but Jesus Christ is there. And to ensure that we know he is there, Jesus Christ has resorted several times to showing us that there is something else inside the host and the wine. There is a person. Two of these hundreds of Eucharistic miracles have been scientifically studied in depth: the miracle of Lanciano and that of Buenos Aires. In the 8th century, a Basilian monk in the city of Lanciano doubted the real presence of our Lord in the Eucharistic species. And at the moment of consecration, the host became human flesh and the wine became human blood. The wine was divided into 5 parts, corresponding to the number of wounds that Christ suffered on the cross. Each of these independent particles, or all of them added together, weighed the same, and the flesh turned out to be human heart muscle tissue. Something similar happened in Buenos Aires in 1996, when a host that had fallen to the ground was placed in water to disintegrate it, and ended up manifesting as a piece of the ventricle of the heart of a human being, of a person who had been severely traumatized or beaten. A decade later, the tissue was still alive. A video was made about this Eucharistic miracle. Comparing the two miracles, it has been established that the two samples correspond to the same person who was born and lived in the Middle East. And this coincides 100% with the blood found in the Holy Shroud of Turin and in the Holy Shroud of Oviedo. The samples revealed AB positive blood type. So here we have the proofs given to reason that Jesus Christ died and rose again, and that he is permanently among us, at least in the consecrated host. This is complemented by the testimonies given to us in the Bible, as well as what Christians experience in their life of faith. Given the objective proofs that God has given us, that he was resurrected and that he is permanently present among us, I would like to ask you if most of the Catholics you know believe that Jesus is present with his flesh and blood in the consecrated host, or do they believe that this is just a symbol?